thank you so much for coming. 5 minutes ago, I was thinking I was going to present to an empty church, but now I actually have audience. That's great. So I'm going to be honest with you. I've never given this specific presentation. I actually tried to make it specifically for the Dutch Innovation Days, which means I've never given it before. And I might be stumbling every now and then, so please forgive me about that. But I'm going to try to keep it to 30 minutes, right? Yeah, nobody knows how long this presentation is going to be, especially me. So, well, let me start by saying I'm actually a science communicator. I'm very interested in space. I can say I have an obsession with space, but I also have an obsession with sustainable technology. And now I think that for most of you, these two might sound a little bit, well, controversial to each other. Like space is a very polluting hobby of the rich, right? It's not very sustainable. And in a way, I agree. But I'm going to try to convince you that space is actually very necessary for us to help protect this planet. I'll try to elaborate a little bit about that. But I also think it will help us find solutions to the most difficult answers to problems that we are currently dealing with. So if you have any questions about that, you're free to put up your hands. I'll be happy to be answering them. So I've called this presentation, what did I call it again? I think inspired by the overview effect. Okay, yeah, so that makes sense, right? So who knows what this picture is? Who? Earth rising, exactly, Earthrise. What you see here is the surface of the moon with the Earth rising behind it. It was actually one of the first pictures taken from the Earth. It was taken by an Apollo 8 astronaut who was traveling around the moon in 1968. And he took this picture of the Earth and he took it back to the Earth. And people were super surprised. Like nobody had ever seen the Earth in such a way before. Complete, like round marble standing there. So it was a very special moment. This was actually a preparation flight for Apollo 11 the year after, where they actually landed on the moon. So these guys didn't land, unfortunately for them. But now, here's one that's very hard to see with this light, but that makes it even more interesting. Who knows what this picture is? Same guy? Wait, one second. One person that's maybe... Yeah, no, you know everything. Anyone else? So what you see here is a very dark sky with a very tiny little white spot. Okay, call it to me. Pale blue dot. You were both right. It is the pale blue dot, that's the name of the picture, and it was taken by the Voyager probe. Now this picture was taken in 1990, where they sent the Voyager probe to the end of our solar system. And this was taken by the probe, so no humans aboard. You can't come that far yet. And the white spot you see there is actually also planet Earth. Now, that is very far away. It's actually 6 billion kilometers away, so it's very far. So the question to you, what do you think? Oh, wait, I'll show you where it is. There it is. Beautiful, right? So it's tiny and it's very far away and very empty. Oh, whoops. Hey, I need to go back twice. Can I do that? How? Ah, great. I'm so great with technology. I kind of spoiled it, but what do you think these pictures cost in society? What do you think happened after this? Nobody? I'll show you the picture. What? Again? Yeah, environmentalism, exactly. Now, what you see here is a picture of Earth Day. This is actually in 1980-something. But the first Earth Day was actually in 1970, 22 of April in 1970. And one of the causes of this environmentalism groups was that they saw the Earth from afar for the first time. They actually saw this blue marble floating in space, completely empty, completely helpless, and they suddenly knew we're on this planet together and we have to, well, protect it together. We're actually stuck on this planet, so we can't go anywhere. It's really harsh out there. You don't want to go there. So it actually triggered something really good. In fact, Greenpeace was founded in 1971, which is also only a few years after the moon missions. Now, obviously, this environmentalism and activism sparked something good in society. Now, the first moon missions were, as you probably know, part of the space race. It was part of the Cold War between the Soviet Union and America. And they were fighting to each other, and they were proving who has the best technology, who is the strongest everywhere on Earth, but also in space. So it's kind of a macho thing. But actually, later, and after all this environmentalism, space became something super beautiful. It was all about collaboration. It was all about doing science for the good, for the benefit of the planet and society. Now, one of the examples that I love is, call it to me? International Space Station. I think you have such a great audience today. Okay, so the International Space Station actually by some people is called one of the best examples of collaboration between all different countries. The International Space Station, of which the first parts were launched in 1998, was one of the first collaborations in space for a lot of different countries. So Russia worked together with the United States, Europe was working together with them as well. Now Japan is included. We're still excluding China, kind of mean, but now they have their own station, so they're fine. In fact, they're sort of hurtling behind us, which is scaring a lot of people, but I think they're good. So also, space gave us GPS, so it made us able to navigate, which is awesome. It gave us space internet, which is smaller, and it gave us videos of people in the ISS doing stupid things like dressing up like gorillas. This is actually a funny story. I'm not going to play the movie, but in this video you see a gorilla chasing one of the astronauts, Tim Peake, and the gorilla comes from this package that he's opening, and then he's like, oh my god, a gorilla. And people on Twitter actually thought that somebody smuggled the gorilla suit to the station trying to scare his colleagues, but it was a present from Mark Kelly, one of the retired astronauts, to his twin brother, Scott Kelly, who was there on his birthday for his last flight. So he said, here's a gorilla suit, go have fun. And it ended up in this very weird video. Now, all of these things are great. Gorilla suits in space are great, but I think the most important thing about space is actually space observation. And I hope you can see it, but what you see here is very retro material of how ESA visualized one of their first geosatellites that is observing the Earth. This is called Envisat. And the other two satellites are now newer satellites, upgrades of Earth observation satellites that we use to collect data of our planet, of, let's say, the oceans, the atmosphere, deforestation, pollution, anything that you would like to know about the Earth. Also the ozone layer. Let's look at satellites. If we want to prevent stuff that is happening on Earth and we don't know about it, we can always look at satellite data. There's so much satellite data that actually ESA doesn't even know what to do with it. In fact, they have a website. Now, I don't know how to get away from this. Ah, there it is. They have the website Earth Online that you can visit, where you can see all their data, and this is just ESA. And they collect a lot of data, and you're free to use it. Now, there's been some startup companies, and for all of you nerds here who want to build a startup based on data, now there's a bunch of data here that some startups have actually used to help, let's say, farmers in Africa who had trouble picking the right crop or picking the right moment to oogsten. I don't know. Harvest, thank you very much. Ah, so smart and better at language than me. And to find moments to harvest, so they try to help them by giving them the right data about their soil, about their climate, about their weather predictions. So it's actually helping people to make this world a better place. And it's free, so please use it. I don't know how to, but you will. Now, unfortunately, there's also a negative story about space. And this is because we are so super enthusiastic about launching things. And we get cheaper rockets every day, and they get better every day. So we just keep launching. And what you see here is something that you might have seen before if you're interested in space. This is the space debris that we have collected over the past, well, 50-something years. And what you see here is actually satellites or pieces of waste that we have left there that are now circling around the Earth, and it's very wide apart. Now, luckily, it is not on scale. So it's not like if you go out there and you look at the Earth that you will see this. Most of these pieces are actually like a few centimeters large, and they're being very well predicted by ESA. We're looking at the data all the time to prevent anything from colliding, because once, like for instance, a big satellite would collide with one of these small particles, it will feel like a grenade, and it will actually smash everything up and create a lot more smaller particles that will actually make the collisions worse and worse and worse. Now, that's not something that will make it impossible for us to ever travel to space again. Now, that's not good, obviously, so we're trying to solve that, but I will go back to the waste question later. Now, there's another problem with space. These guys didn't really make it more popular. I mean, not in my opinion. Do you know these guys? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so they're all rich guys who spent their money building rockets, which I think is good. I mean, if you have so much money, why not build a rocket, right? They actually try to build these rockets more sustainable, because they're going to be reusable. At least that's what Elon Musk is trying. So I have a hate-love relationship with Elon Musk. I love his entrepreneurial spirit. I love his creative ideas. I love the way he tells stories and gets great talent. But he's also polluting the sky. And they're also making it like a playing field for rich people, which is just annoying. Because I think space should be about science, and space should be about observing our planet and making it a better place. But these guys are just like, I don't know, throwing away money, throwing away rockets, making them look like big penises and then competing with each other. Did you see Amazon's rocket? I don't have a picture. It seriously looks like a penis. Like, check it out. Now, you can say, okay, so these guys are making space more affordable, which is also good for science, and I agree. But there's something that I don't like about it. And the most important thing that I think is a problem right now is light pollution. Now, here's another depressing GIF. Oh yeah, so it is working. So this is the light in Europe in 1992, and then in 2010, which is still very retro as well. But you can imagine how it's going to be in the future. It's going to be especially worse and worse. So this is the problem of light pollution. Now, if you're standing on the ground, especially in Amsterdam where I live, or in Enschede, for instance, you can look up the sky and you can hardly see the Milky Way. Like, I cannot see the Milky Way from Amsterdam at all. In the Netherlands, I would have been able to go to, let's say, the islands or the south of Zeeland. So there were some places where I would still be able to see the stars. And I think it is super important for people to see the stars, because it makes you aware of the grand universe we're part of, and it makes you aware of our own small scale. But now what these guys do, like, I'm going to remind you of the way they look. Here they are. Especially Musk and Bezos, they're launching a bunch of small satellites, the CubeSats. They're only the size of a milk package, and they're launching them in huge amounts. Like, at this point, there's about 8,300 satellites in total around Earth, of which almost half is not even working. But more than 3,000 of these satellites are small satellites from Starlink, from Elon Musk. Now, the problem with these satellites is that they're actually blocking the light from the stars towards the Earth. Thank you very much. I'm creating all these pauses so you can fill in for me. Which is actually rare, because I usually speak very fast. So they're actually blocking the light from us for the stars, which is a problem for me, because I love the stars, but it's also a problem for scientists. We still have telescopes here, and there's actually some pictures which I didn't put in there. I will for the next time I give this presentation. But you can actually see the satellites as like tiny trains of bright points in the sky, and they're blocking us from what we actually want to see. So I think we need better regulation. Now, the only regulation we have right now for them is that they are obliged to make the satellites land on Earth after their life is over. So with their last piece of energy, they have to make sure they drop into the atmosphere and burn up like a tiny meteorite, which is nice, but still, I mean, I want my stars, you know? I think you do too. Now, what can we do about these problems? Like, we have the beautiful part of space and the space research, but also we have these negative parts of what's happening in space. We have space debris. I didn't even discuss space debris falling into the atmosphere, which is too big to burn up and actually crash in somewhere. I'm personally not so afraid of that, but some people are. So what do we do about that space waste? Well, I thought since space is also a way of, well, you know, thinking of the Earth in the bigger universe, why don't we use the observational overview effect when we let's put the problems we have here on Earth and try to solve the waste problem. So let's play a game. Where's my picture? Ah, there it is. Let's play a game. You know, remember this guy? He used to be on television a lot. Actually, I can now steal his face. We're going to play a game. You're going to find the connection for me. I'm going to show you 5 pictures, and you tell me what the problem is. So, first one, plastic soup problem. Here's a crab. He's actually wearing this plastic thing as a dress. He doesn't seem too bothered, but it is a problem. PFAS, it's the way well, there's a lot of PFAS that we have produced. It's actually preventing water. You know, I should have practiced this. 1 second. It's a chemical repellent for water that we've used in a lot of products, and it's actually now building up in the soil, and it's very poisonous. You don't want it. Fast fashion mountains. Who knows this picture? Yeah, it's horrible, right? So this is where our clothes end up when we throw them in a bin. Like I used to think a few years ago that these clothes were actually being recycled or resold, but we have so much clothes that they're ending up in, I don't know where this is, but usually third world countries where they don't need these mountains. It's sad. Okay, well, fast fashion mountains. Climate change, the mother of all problems. And then the nitrogen crisis, also a very popular one lately. Now, I didn't even put space debris and light pollution in there, but what do you think is the connection between all these problems? What causes it? Emma, what of humans? What waste? Human waste, exactly. These are all forms of human waste causing problems. I didn't even mention this one. It's also horrible. There's so many waste problems. I could use a whole presentation to just talk about the waste problem we have. Now, the good news is, well, no, let's start here. So my statement would be, we do not have a climate problem, we have a waste problem. All these different problems should be named under the same name, a waste problem. So the good thing about having just one problem is that we only need one solution. We need to produce less waste in space and on Earth. Now, what do you think would be a good solution to get rid of all this human-made waste? Anyone? Less humans, great idea. A little creepy, but still. Do you recall it like sometimes when you watch movies and you look at like, I don't know, what's his name? You know, where the bad guys are trying to kill all the humans, you're like, I kind of get it, you know? I kind of start to feel with the bad guys. Anyone else? Buy less, exactly, less consumption. Okay, I was sort of hoping that you would say innovation. I was expecting that here, I don't know why, but yeah, so something that you might come up with is innovation. We need smarter innovations. We need things that are made of recycled materials. We need things that are less polluting, that don't consume oil or gas. We need to produce hydrogen instead of oil and gas and coal, whatever, you know? Innovation is actually good. You didn't say it, but I was going to say it's good, but we already have that. We have innovation. There have been, especially in the Netherlands, we are so good at innovation. I keep bragging about Dutch innovation all the time. I seriously think that we have enough innovation to solve the problem, but still the problems are not really solved. So what else do we need? What? Recycling, yeah. What do you... Stop talking? Well, yeah. Should I also go? I'm kind of a talker about problems. Yeah, start talking. Well, good ideas. I'm just going to help you a little bit here. It's also my first, so I have to try what works. Better business models. That was my second idea. So we have good innovations. we can have better business models. Like, let's not, what you said, consume less. Where are you? There you are. Fashion library. Less. So consuming less could be in the form of going to, like, say, a fashion library. This suit is actually from a fashion library. Just putting it out there. In Amsterdam, so you probably are going to go there, but whatever. There's car sharing, which I also use. They're actually going to share the Lightyear car, which is invented in Eindhoven. It's driving on solar energy. I might be able to drive the Lightyear just by being part of car sharing. So I don't own my own car. I'm going to just share my car with a bunch of people in my own neighborhood. Then stuff that is made from waste, like the jewelry that you see here, this phone, actually has a lot of gold in it. And a girl I know, she collects the gold from old phones and makes jewelry out of it. Beautiful. So great business ideas. But also, again, these ideas already exist. So why are we not solving the problem? Now, here's one more that is actually showing you that better innovation is not always helping. You see a lot of meat substitutes here. I don't know if you've seen my conversation with Frans Timmermans just before. Now, this is one of my big frustrations. Like, meat substitutes are great. Finally, they taste good and they are healthy. But they're more expensive than meat. We have these kilo knallers. You can buy pig meat for like nothing, and you have to actually save money to buy vegetarian meat. Now, this is because the grocery stores, they take a premium over these products because they know the people that will buy them have more to spend, and they're willing to spend more on it. So instead of helping us help society eat more sustainable, they're actually helping us not to. So what do we need? It's not better innovation. We need to help people to make the good choice, the sustainable choice. And what we need for that is something called true pricing. Do you know this concept? Yes, good. So I probably don't have to explain much. The concept of the true price is that at this point in economy, we're actually paying a price that is way too cheap. The price that we now pay is never going to help us solve the problems that the products are actually causing. Like, for instance, burning fossil fuels. We pay for fossil fuels, which is already quite a lot. But if you take into account the amount of money that we would need to solve the problems caused by burning fossil fuels, the price would be much higher. Now for the consumer, it's quite cheap. But for society, the price is very high. So what we actually should be doing is calculate a price that it would be for society to solve the problems that are being caused. Now, this would be a very good incentive for producers of new products to actually, well, you know, create a cheap product that is also sustainable, because it will make their products cheaper and more attractive to buy for consumers. Did I explain that well? Nah, okay. So my second statement is, we don't need better innovation, we need better legislation. We need an incentive for the producers of all the products we have to make them sustainable, to make it attractive for the consumer to actually buy them. If we don't do that, it will always be more attractive to buy the stuff that is not good for the planet and will actually cause waste and cause problems that we have to pay for anyways, but then it's not being paid by the right people. Now, something else that you sometimes hear, and I just want to throw it out there, is what is holding companies back? 5 minutes? Yeah, I'll make that. What is holding companies back? Now, you can say companies should be the ones taking the lead, and they should change their behavior, and once the market is ready, they will start producing the right product. Now, I actually talked to a bunch of large companies like Unilever and KLM, and I asked them, what the fuck are you doing? No, I'm kidding. I asked them, why are you not making the right decisions? Very polite. And actually, KLM told me, like, I'm not a very big fan in the way they do. Well, they're doing their policies, but I understand them, to be honest. Like, they said, if we start investing a lot in cleaner flights, then we have to do the investments ourselves. It will make our flights more expensive, and that will lead for our consumers to go to, let's say, Germany or Belgium for their flights. Like, the competition is so close, so nearby, that once their product is so much more expensive, it will definitely drive away their consumers. And I understand that. So what we need for KLM is European legislation to get everybody, to get a level playing field. So that's what they said they need. Now, another thing that I heard was from Unilever. I don't know if you know the story of Paul Polman. He was actually one of the few CEOs who was actually willing to try and change the world by being one of the pioneers in sustainable innovation. And he was trying to push that, but he was held back by his own stakeholders. They said, we don't believe in this story, so you can't do it without our permission. And he sort of failed at it. Although, he told me that actually during this period, it was very easy for him to get talent, because especially millennials, they want to work for a company that has a good story and that is sustainable. So one of the wins for him was that he got more talent. But he didn't become the first very sustainable retail sales. Now, my statement is the future could and should be waste-free. And we should forever be able to see the stars and the other forms of life on this planet if we create the right legislation and we get this incentive for people to produce products without producing all the waste, and to make the people who produce the waste responsible for the waste they produce. It sounds much easier than it is, I know that, but I only have 30 minutes, so. Now, you may wonder, what does all of this have to do with space? Well, I'm going to read it up because you know now that I didn't practice. So I'm going to show you a video. While you look at the video, you can listen to my voice. Now, looking at space can make you feel very small and insignificant. But on the other hand, it also makes you feel quite significant. Because the more you zoom out and the harder you try in space to find any form of life out there in this immense universe, the more you start to realize that the time and place that we were born in, especially the place, our planet Earth, is super, extremely, extraordinary special. Now, there are more beautiful places in the universe, but this is the only one we know of right now that actually hosts life. It is the only planet so diverse in its collection and species of life that we should be careful about it. Moreover, among all these species of life, we, humans, might be the only species knowing how special it is to be alive. And moreover, we might be the only species that have the capacity to see and understand that we are part of something so rare in something so big. Some philosophers think of people as being the mind of the universe. I've stolen this one from you. The small part of the universe that can look at itself. People might be the part of the universe able to look at itself. And therefore, I believe it is our duty to be careful with the wonders that our planet carries. All the other forms of life. We have science and we have innovation. We have some great solutions. Now let's get all the other idiots on board. That went well. Thank you for listening.